But first, President Trump tells Congress he is in an armed conflict with enemy combatant cartel members. And this new video shows a fourth drug boat taken out by the Department of War. Look at this. Now, Secretary Pete Hegseth sharing this, quote, "Our intelligence, without a doubt, confirmed that this vessel was trafficking narcotics." The Trump administration says its cartel crackdown is working, but you don't have to take their word for it.
Do you think what President Trump has been doing has been making your job tougher?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
But it's becoming more difficult, you think?
Yeah.
Let's bring in Border Czar Tom Homan. Tom, it's so great to speak with you. That's a cartel member masked, admitting that what you're doing is working. Do you think in some time we may see none of these narcotic ships traversing our seas?
I think you're going to see a huge reduction in overdose deaths, poisonings in the United States. No, President Trump made a great move. I mean, he designated these cartels as terrorist organizations because they've killed more Americans than every terrorist organization in the world combined. They've killed more Americans than any war on record. So President Trump did the right thing, designated them terrorists. So, yeah, we are at war with the terrorists. And every time they do take action like this, they send a strong message. And what's the result? President Trump is saving thousands of lives from a deadly poison coming across that border. We knew once we locked the border down, we had the most secure border in the history of the nation right now. And we knew once we did that, they'd take the maritime. So that's why President Trump has, put Coast Guard on the water, put more Coast Guard boats, more naval vessels out there. So we're taking to the maritime. They will not defeat what President Trump's trying to do, make America safe again and saving American lives.
Tom, returning to the issue of what's happening in some of these cities, Portland, Chicago, Memphis, they're all a little bit different. But I want to play a clip from Benny Johnson's show. This is Secretary Kristi Noem on what's going to happen with the National Guard in Portland. Listen to this.
We're sending in the Department of War at the request that I made to Secretary Hegseth. They're going to be rolling in here within the next 24 hours. What we saw happen to that journalist last night will not happen again.
Will we see National Guard in Portland pretty soon?
Oh, absolutely. And they've been very successful. They were very successful in Los Angeles. The first time they deployed, I was in Los Angeles when our facilities were being attacked. Our officers were being attacked. And thank God President Trump brought the National Guard in, because what he did, he saved Los Angeles and let ICE go out there and continue to arrest public safety threats and make Los Angeles safer, which we had done. He sent National Guard to Washington, D.C. Look at the amazing work they did in Washington, D.C. Crime rate was reduced greatly. So it's a right formula. It's a right mix, because National Guard will provide security to men and women of law enforcement, ICE and CBP, so they can continue doing what President Trump promised the American people was going to do. Arrest the public safety threats, the national security threats, remove them to the community and deport them. It makes those communities much safer. So it's a genius plan, and I support 100%, and you're going to see more of this, because President Trump's going to keep his promise to American people to make this country safe again.
So I want to play from our first hour. I spoke with Nick Sorter, the journalist who was arrested, also spoke with Todd Lyons. They had some interesting commentary on what's going on with local police forces in Portland specifically. Listen to this.
When they say they make arrests based on observed behavior, in these circumstances, I believe that observed behavior was being a conservative, just being totally honest with you. Nobody, even my biggest detractors, cannot take that video and say I was the aggressor in the situation.
We started to see Portland police show up, and unfortunately, Nick was a victim of that. But, it wasn't until President Trump actually showed the strength to say, hey, we're going to take back the, and protect our ICE agents. We're going to send in the National Guard. Did all of a sudden we start seeing local support.
Tom, the local police in Portland, they're just leaving ICE officers out to hang. They're arresting conservative journalists. Is this just a Portland problem, or do you see this kind of pushback from local police in places like Chicago?
Well, first of all, Nick Sorter, great patriot, love the guy. He's on the right side of this issue, and Todd Lyons, known for a long time. These are two great American patriots. But Portland police have failed to respond for months. They may be stepping up recently because now the threat of National Guard's coming in, but for months, ICE officers were followed to their homes from their office. All officers have been assaulted. And I was in Portland just several weeks ago, and what concerned me, in addition to the officer safety, were the other employees, the mission support personnel, the men and women who support the law enforcement function, whether as administrative assistants, budget directors, all that other important work that needs to be done, that don't carry a badge and gun, that leave that office every day to have to drive home, and that Portland PD will not provide any sort of response to these people. And I want to remind the Portland PD, they're taxpayers too. They pay city taxes in Portland. They deserve the protection from Portland Police Department, like every other citizen in that city. So yeah, Portland PD's been lazy. They haven't been responding, and that's because they're under the direction of the city manager and the mayor, who will not let them respond. But I'll say this: the men and women of the Portland PD that I've talked to, they want to help. They want to stand up. But their hands are being tied, just like the Chicago PD, just like the NYPD. Sanctuary cities won't let their law enforcement officers work with law enforcement officers. So this is a problem plaguing every sanctuary city.
Yeah, hardworking men and women plagued by bad leadership that comes from the left. Tom Homan, thank you for all the work you're doing to keep this country safe.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.